Well, we are back again for a second try. I guess our audio wasn't working, so let's give this one another shot. Welcome to Breakfast with Bev, the second time this morning. So, a few months ago, there was a lot of concern with how the real estate market would fare with COVID. And we have seen now that the market's going really well. Inventory is low, buyer competition is fierce, and homes are selling quickly. In our local market right now, there are average days on the market has seen a 38% decrease from last year to about 27 days on average, and we've seen an 11% increase in sales price from last year. In our most recent blog post, 6 Surprising Realities about the real estate market right now, we cover in depth those 6 topics. So we're going to give you a quick overview of what those are. I'm Cheryl Maupin, and Bev Curtis is with us as well today.
Hi, I'm Bev with Covino. You can tell this is a Wednesday that just isn't going well, guys. I'm Bev with Bev & Co. at House of Brokers Realty, and Cheryl and I are here this morning, definitely having difficulties this morning, that's for sure. So 6 of the current realities that we want to cover is one, I think is a pretty obvious one, is the low inventory, guys. We kind of talked about that in a recap of our 101st episode at the Broadway Diner last week, where inventory in certain price ranges is definitely low. Not all price ranges, so I want to make that clarification. If you are $250 and below, that is certainly kind of the hot price point that's very desirable across the board, whether you're a first-time home buyer, a move-up buyer, an empty nester, whatever the case might be. The second ingredient that kind of goes along with that creates the perfect storm is the low interest rates. So the low interest rates is definitely scooching the market right along, and it's creating a void in the market as far as inventory. And so we have buyers in the wings that have gone to their lender, they are pre-approved, they have no house to sell, and they're anxiously been awaiting to try to find the perfect home. The situation that comes about with those two things, however, is that it creates that multiple offer situation in many cases, which is kind of the perfect storm. And it's great if you are a buyer, if you're a seller, but if you are a buyer, it's very stressful. And the whole concern is nobody wants to overpay. And so at some point, there is a threshold of what is too much to spend on a home in a market that has low inventory. So that's where the third reality comes into play, is it's the fierce competition. So if you are a buyer, you are more than likely, if it's something that you see that comes online that looks like it meets your needs, more than likely it's going to be for someone else as well. So it's not uncommon to have 3, 4, 5, 6 competing offers on a property, and then the seller is the one that's kind of in a little bit of a pickle of trying to decipher, of all the offers on the table, which one is going to be the best one for their situation. It's not always price, guys. A lot of times it's the terms of the offer and who's the lender, who's the strongest financially, and who's the other realtor on the other end that's going to make the transaction smooth and easy to put together and see it through to the closing table. So keep in mind, price, everybody says, is king. It is to a certain aspect of it, but it's not the end all.
And so the first 3 with the low inventory, low rates, and heavy buyer competition brings us to the 4th reality, that homes are, in quite a few of the price points, selling very, very quickly. I actually saw an article, I think this morning, that said the title was "Fall is the New Spring Real Estate Market," and there is some truth to that this year. There's a lot of uncertainty about what spring will actually be like. We know right now that things are moving well, so if you have thought about selling in the future or next year, it might be a good idea to have a conversation with us, because it might serve you better to sell now than wait, but we can help answer that on an individual basis. The 5th reality is that, as we had said, prices are climbing. We've seen an 11% increase here locally since last year, and that's just law of supply and demand. There's low inventory, high buyer demand, so we're seeing those prices rise, making it a good time to sell as well. And then the sixth reality is that folks are leaving big cities, and we're seeing some of that. I know we have people moving here from big cities because, there's a lot more elbow room in Missouri. When you have higher population densities, that's a lot harder to social distance. So people are gravitating towards areas, like Boone County. And a lot of people are working from home, so they're not as tied to a certain location as they used to be. And
I think that's going to change the market, because Cheryl just hit upon a key note. I think we have all seen for ourselves right in front of our eyes that it's not necessarily important as we used to think it was that you physically left home and went to an office setting, because so many of our clients and friends are working from home, homeschooling from home. The entire dynamic of how the household is being used and ran, and space allocations inside your home, it's completely changed what buyer needs are for today. So I think in the future, you're going to see more at-home flex spaces, more at-home office spaces, perhaps maybe in-home gyms. More people are doing outdoor living spaces. Outdoor living spaces was always a hot button with folks, but even more so with in-ground pools and things of that nature. So the landscape of how people live has been a game changer with COVID, and we are seeing that more and more and more as buyers are describing what they're looking for and what fits their lifestyle. So here's what I want to leave you guys with the message on, is that we are in need of homes on the market. And I'm saying that with real live buyers that are pre-approved, sitting here ready to go. And we're checking the system, 3 and 4 and 5 times a day to see what type of inventory is coming on, where we can match that up with the buyer's need. So even if you're not in a situation where you want to move, if you know of a coworker, a family member, a church member, somebody that you know that you associate with that's maybe indicated that they might be interested in making a move, have them give us a call where we can actually visit with them and see if maybe now versus spring, whatever their situation is, we can certainly cater it to their needs. Okay?
And you can see more in depth about the topic we covered today on bevandcohomes.com on our blog post. But we will see you guys next week.